Hello and welcome to the Crocheters of Awesome. This is my seventh vlog and I hope that you're enjoying it. My name is Jen. You can find me on Ravelry as Jen2291. You can always find me at the Crocheters Awesome blog, and I'm also on Instagram now, Crocheters of Awesome. So I will show my finished objects there before I do the big roundup here. So if you're curious, give me a follow and you can see everything as it goes along. I wanted to start off with happy holidays, because last time I couldn't speak very much and you can tell my throat is still a little raspy. This is what winter is usually like for me because of my asthma and allergies and things like that. I don't know if it's that way for you too. I think a lot of people who have chronic health issues tend to have clusters of them. And I know winter is hard for a lot of folks and for a lot of reasons. So I hope that that your holiday season was a good one and that you're able to enjoy the celebrations that mean the most to you. For me, that meant we were in our new house and we got to have all of the kids and grandkids had a sleepover at our house, and we spent the whole time in our jammies just having a good time and eating too much and watching the kids giggle. It was just a great time. I'm really lucky to be able to spend as much time with my grandkids, really lucky to have daughters who make sure that I get that time. So I also want to give a quick health check. Like I said, winter is usually hard. It's hard for me arthritis-wise. And this time last year is the time when I was going to my doctor in crisis, unable to get out of a chair, unable to, walk any length, which also means driving and grocery shopping and working. I was making mistakes all over the place. It was a bad time for me. And so I was a little bit anxious about this January. January is historically my bad month. And because I have this broader health team now, which includes my rheumatologist and also a pain specialist. That's made such a difference in my quality of life. And so this year we were able to attack things ahead of time. So over the summer, the rheumatologist switched me from Remicade to Humira, and that helped a little bit. And then over the last few months, I mentioned cortisone injections before, but my pain specialist gave me a few cortisone injections, in fact, in 3 different areas of my hip to try to reduce that pain and discomfort, especially as winter set in, and that my pain isn't gone. But it's so much better that I can participate in things like Christmas with the kids and things like that. And last weekend we did a local event, a festival in our town that specialized in candy. I mean, is there a better place to spend time with your grandkids, right? So that was, oh wait, I should give a shout out. It was the Queen Creek S'mores Sweet Fest. And I want to give a shout out to Inspired Sugar and Sift and Fold. So if you're in this area, check them out, because both of those vendors had allergy-friendly treats. I know. Sift and Fold had macarons and all different flavors, but some were gluten-free, some were dairy-free. And when I asked her about peanuts, she said she doesn't use any peanut related products. And so even my grandson was able to have some, and that was amazing. Amazing moment. He was so excited. And the other one, Inspired Sugar, also had both gluten and gluten-free products. When I asked about her kitchen practices to make sure that they were kept separate all along the way, she said yes, and in fact, her daughter lives gluten-free, her teenage daughter. So she uses good kitchen practice to keep them separate. And in fact, the gluten-free dessert, that lid I gave you, was actually the top of a small mason jar. She made the gluten-free products and then put them in a jar. So each one at the event was actually sealed in and had no chance of getting cross-contaminated. It was wonderful. It was a snickerdoodle cake. It had layers of yellow cake and cinnamon glaze and some frosting. It was amazing. So I kept that one because it was sealed. I brought it home and enjoyed it that night. It was wonderful. So a huge shout out to those two vendors. I don't know them very well, but you can bet that I will. And also, my pain specialist hooked me back up with a physical therapist that helped me so much last year. And we tried to do some proactive things to get me in shape to handle January. And it's worked really well. One of the things that she taught me was about misalignment of the pelvis. So people may not realize that those bones on the right and left are completely different. There's a joint, they connect with the SI joints to your tailbone, and then they connect in the front, but they can move independently, and that's how we get that range of motion. But when they're out of balance, they don't move properly, and so consequently, I was dragging my sore leg, and when she measured, it actually was longer than my other leg, not because it was actually longer, but because my hips were so, that pelvic bone was so misaligned that it was pushing that leg out farther. And that was a big source of my pain, especially in that SI joint. So between that and the cortisone shot, I've got a couple spots that have reduced down to the kind of achy that happens when you have gray hair. So I encourage you, if you're in that situation where you're just not sure what to do, and you have tried everything on your own, don't be afraid of that pain specialist. He isn't necessarily going to just write you out a dangerous prescription. He's going to explore all those different ways that you can help yourself before you have to be so drastic. Now, there's nothing wrong with pain medication, because I have that too. So if I have a busy day, by the end of the day, I'm really sore, you bet I'm going to make sure I try to get a good night's sleep, because sleep is an important factor for those with chronic illness, and especially chronic pain, because we get interrupted so much. But if you haven't hooked up with a pain specialist, I recommend that you talk to your primary provider about that option, because it's what they do all day long. They've seen it. They have the best ideas and ways to help you. And it may be as simple as a physical therapist teaching you the right way to work with your issues. So I hope that that if you are on the fence about something, that you jump off it and get that help, because even if it doesn't make it go away, it makes it livable. And if I can, make my situation livable, then you can too. All right, so on to finished objects. There's a couple that I've already given away. You might have remembered that red blanket whip I was working on last month. I gave that to my friend Maggie, and because red is her favorite color. I also made a small blanket for their cat Logan, who gets chilly in the wintertime. And I even had enough yarn to make her some plaid mittens. Here they are. And then otherwise, I have several finished objects. So you might have noticed the one I'm wearing is very sparkly. It's actually Blue Heron Rayon Metallic yarn in a Chesapeake colorway. I don't know if they make this anymore, but this is my very first luxury skein of yarn. I think it was $50 at the time. It's probably been 10 years. I have crocheted and frogged this yarn so many times, it's not even funny, because it has special meaning to me. But I think this one's a keeper because I love the way the stripes worked out. It's Tunisian knit stitch. So it's a little bit thicker fabric, but it still has a lot of drape. And then of course I did the super simple and very easy to wear, because they're so flexible, fingerless mitts to try to keep my hands warmer too. So that's my get up for today. Also, out of the blanket scraps, we've got more scrappy hats for charity. Any color goes. Let me take off my fancy mitts here for a second, because I have to show you these. This pattern has been in my queue for so long. It's from Marley Bird, and most of you crocheters will know who she is. It's Thrummed Mittens. Aren't they pretty? You can't quite see the purple that they are, but they're a deep iris purple. And what are those spots, you say? Let me show you. Thrums are little bits of spinning fiber. See all those loops? And then what happens is with wear, they kind of felt together and make a lining, a fuzzy, soft lining on the inside of those mitts. Isn't that amazing? So this is Misty Alpaca, Pima Silk yarn in Siberian Iris. And then the fiber is some faux Angora, so it's super, super fuzzy. It won't felt as well as wool because, you know, nylon just doesn't felt as much, but it will still mat together and make a nice, fluffy, wonderful lining. And what do you say about mittens in Arizona? That's why you use cotton and faux fibers. So they're warm and cozy. They will help the arthritis in my hands. 52 degrees, everybody knows as soon as it reaches 52 degrees, my hand seize up. So I always have to have some kind of mittens around, and I'll be sure to put those to good use. I forgot my spinning. I have another skein of this amazing silk by Supernatural Yarns. I won't deny that I'm a werewolf. It's a little Ravenclaw looking to me. So that's wonderful. I have 2 more to go. I'm working on the 3rd right now. But one of those things I was doing to help myself, I needed to take a break. Silk has such a long draw that it's a little bit hard on my hands. So I did a little faux cashmere in between, which is really soft and squishy. And this is also Supernatural Yarns fiber, but this is a reference to Mean Girls. You go, Glen Coco. So that was nice. I'll go back and do a skein of the silk, and then I'll work in something else, and then I'll do that last skein of the silk. I think that was part of what was bothering me, is doing 2 skeins, one right after the other. And then I also have a couple of whips. My travel whip, the one that goes, you know, with me on appointments and everything, is going to be another Tunisian knit stitch cowl. This is Expression Fiber Arts silk and base that they don't use anymore, sadly, in Vineyard. And so it's going to be a cowl like this one. I think that's just going to be the best way for me to do it. But then let me grab my current blanket. This pattern is called Frog Pond, and I'm working on it for a friend of mine who loves frogs, and also Kermit. So this is going to be, I don't know if you can see, but those colors are kind of ripple across, and then the rest of it is kind of Kermit green, you know, with his darker head and his collar. And I'm going to make a little Kermit applique to go on there. So I'm about halfway with the base, and then I'm going to put the edging around it. So it'll be a little bit wild, but that's because, again, I have to change things up. And you've seen my silk spinning whip. I'm going to show you something more specific, because I really want to talk about tools and how we get ourselves through those tough times. So for me, it's an electric wheel. This is called the Eel. And let me show you the front. This is it. This is the whole entire thing, just this big, half a shoebox, right? I can get 4 ounces of fiber on one bobbin, and you can adjust tension and speed. Oh, wrong end. And it runs on a sewing machine engine, cleverly designed. This is because if I try to treadle a traditional wheel with my feet, not only will my yarn turn out uneven, but my feet will kill me by the end of the day. I just can't treadle that motion. I'm not really good on bikes or anything like that because of the spasticity in my feet. So this works out really well for me. I can sit nice and comfortably and just use my hands to draft that fiber. It works great. But I also have other tools that I like to use. Not just when it's cold. Whenever my fingers are swollen or sore, I use these arthritis gloves by IMAK, I-M-A-K. And they feel just like a stretchy knit fabric, but they provide just enough support that keep my fingers and my hand from tiring too easily. I wear 2 at a time, and I got them on Amazon if you want to give those a try. They're awesome. They work better than any other glove for that purpose than I've tried, but I think it's because they're still basically lightweight. And then I also have some specialty hooks that I like to use. First of all, my everyday hook at my house are my Tulip Etymos. I have every size. It's a cushiony grip, but it's also kind of tapered. I don't know if you can see that, but see that outline? So it's solid here, and then the thumb rest just kind of tapers into the handle, and the handle is still very thin. So the thumb rest is the thickest piece there. That's helpful for me because it doesn't add a lot of weight at the end. But if I'm on the go, the hooks that I take with me, because my Etymos were more expensive, are the Bates with the cushion grip. And they're very similar, actually, to the Tulip. The main difference is in the way that grip is. See how this one's really long and tapered, and this has a shorter area for my thumb, and the ending is longer and bigger, which means it's heavier on the top side. It might help you if you are a knife holder, but I'm a pencil holder, so that extra weight just pulls like that. However, they can take a beating. I can just throw them in my project bags, and so and I do like the cushy. I don't have to squeeze quite so hard. When the light is low, I use this one by Crochet Light. Can you see that? There's an LED that lights up this clear acrylic hook. And it doesn't seem like a lot of light, but trust me, if it's shining right where you need to see, it does the job. So if it's nighttime or my eyes are tired, that kind of thing, I also use cheater glasses, readers that magnify when I need, and I have a standing light that comes over my shoulder and shines light on what I'm working on. All of those things make it a little bit easier for me to keep on crafting, and I hope that maybe I've come up with something there that you haven't tried yet, and maybe will be worth a try for you. Otherwise, till then, keep crafting. Happy Valentine's Day. Until then, happy crocheting. I'll see you next month.